In this lesson video, we're going to be looking at how we can divide fractions. So our learning goals that you can understand the written strategies and all that you also can use digital technologies. But I want you to make sure you can also understand these key terms. That is reciprocal, invert, and also how to apply the keep. Okay, I'll highlight it here, the keep, change, flip method when we're doing division with fractions. So we're going to give a little demonstration first of how we might understand dividing fractions. And when we looked at a previous video, we did fractions multiplied by fractions ends up with a smaller fraction. And we did the example there, but I want to show an example of what happens when we divide numbers by fractions. And we've got 3 apples here, and I wanted to divide these 3 apples into quarters. Okay, so I have 3 apples, and I divide it into quarters. And what I have here is actually 12. Okay, so previously when we work with whole numbers, if we have, for example, 5 divided by 15, the answer is 3. The number can often be smaller than the division that we're working with, but when we're working with fractions, it can now be the opposite case because we end up with sometimes a bigger number. So 3 divided by a quarter gives us 12. And so we're compared to fractions, multiplying fractions, where we do multiply a fraction by a fraction, gives a smaller fraction. The reverse occurs here with division. So let's get into it now and understand how we can divide fractions. And the 3 key points that you'll get you to write down are the same as multiplying, but there's a couple of key terms in here. And the first one is when dividing a mixed number, it must be changed to an improper fraction. We don't want to work with mixed numbers when we're doing division here. And we have this term called a reciprocal case. A reciprocal of a fraction means you invert the fraction. Okay, so if I have 3, 4, so I'll put it over there. If I have 3 over 4 and I invert that, we just basically switch the numerator and the denominator around, so we have 4 over 3. And that's what we call the reciprocal of a fraction. And you're going to need to know that as we move forward. Now, last point here is that when dividing a fraction by a whole number, again, you always simply convert the whole number to a fraction by placing it above a denominator of 1. Okay, so in this example, if we want to divide quarters, 3 by quarters, and we have 3 whole, to turn that into a fraction, we just place it over a denominator of 1. So now that we understand that, let's get into it now. The 3 key things here, and I want you to remember this term, and it is the keep, change, flip method that we use when dividing fractions. And the way it works is that you keep the first fraction. So we might do this one down here. You're going to keep that first fraction as is. The change, you then change the division symbol to a multiplication symbol. And then once you've done that, you're going to flip, or as we've said before, invert the other fraction. So if I had to rewrite this when doing division, I keep the first fraction, I change the division to a multiplication symbol, and then I flip the second fraction. So it's actually 3 over 5 divided by 3 over 8 is the same as 3 over 5 multiplied by 8 over 3. And then once you've done that, all you simply need to do is just do the multiplication steps for multiplying fractions, and that will get the same answer. So let's have a look at that. So now that I've done the keep, change, flip, I can simply multiply the 2 fractions. I want to look to cancel first, which I can see I can do across this way, the diagonal. Okay, I've got a 3 and a 3. They both go into each other once, or they both go into 3 once. So now I have 1 over 5 multiplied by 8 over 1. Now I can simply multiply my numerator and denominators together. So 1 times 8 and 5 times 1 will give me 8 over 5. Okay, so I'm 8 over 5, and as always with manners, I want to make sure I can convert this into mixed number. So I'll do that over here for some space. Okay, 5 goes into 8 once, with 3 left over, and 5. Okay, so 3/5 divided by 3/8 equals 1 whole and 3/5. Alright, so now let's have a look at if we want to divide a whole number, and we're going to use that strategy that we used before. But firstly, I want to convert this into a fraction. So I now have 5/8 divided by, and I'm going to convert that 3 to a fraction. Okay, and now we can simply do the keep, change, flip method. So I'm going to keep the first number, 5 over 8, change the division to a multiplication, do a flip of the second fraction, and now I have 5 over 8 times 1/3. Okay, I can't cancel in any direction. So I'm going to go numerators times the denominators together. And then I have 5 times 1 over 8 times 3, which gives us 5 over 24. Okay, sorry for the poor writing there. 5 over 24. Okay, so again, keep, change, flip. Change any whole number you change to a fraction. Now let's look at an example of if we're using mixed numbers. And as that rule said earlier, any mixed number you want to convert to an improper fraction. We don't really necessarily want to work with mixed numbers, particularly when we're doing division. Okay, so I'm going to convert these two firstly to improper fractions, and I'll do that by times the whole number by the bottom number and then add the top. Okay, so 2 times 5 equals 10 plus 2 equals 12 over 5 divided by bottom whole number multiplied by the bottom number, add the top. 1 times 5 equals 5 plus 3 equals 8, and I have 8 over 5. So now that I have my fraction, I can simply perform my process here. I'm going to go keep, change, flip. So 12 over 5 multiplied by 5 over 8. Okay, I can cross cancel both directions. Cross cancel here, these both go into 5 once, and these both can go into 4 twice and 3 times. So my new fraction now is 3 over 1 multiplied by 1 over 2, and then I just multiply numerators and denominators together, which will give me 3 over 2, which converted is to 1 and 1/2. Okay, so if you have any questions, make sure you write them down. But the key thing is, as long as you know how to multiply fractions, if you just do keep, change, flip, you can just go through the process again. And remember those terminologies that we're looking at, reciprocal and invert. And when we invert a fraction, they're going to really help us moving forward. But it's a simple process. Once you know how to change that division to doing the keep, change, flip, that will help you with as we move forward. Thanks, guys.